Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Amud Yomi Shiur. We are now in Makkos, Daf Daled Amud Beis, but let's review the Mishnah Daf Daled Amud Aleph in the bottom of the page so we get a clear picture. This Shiur is Leil Nishmas, my grandfather Akiva ben Yitzchok, the one I'm named after. So this is special day, Chodesh Tammuz, where we have a good week, good Chodesh, and good life. Mirat Hashem, good Geula. The Gula, we needed to come soon. Welcome back, Yosef. Okay, says the Heilige Mishnah, and of course, Lunishmas, my father, Menachem ben Akiva, and Atzolas Kol Klal Yisrael. Says the Heilige Mishnah, Meidin Anu Beish Ploini, Shechai B'Chaver Mosayim Zuz. Two Eidim came and testified on a person, regarding a person, Shechai B'Chaver Mosayim Zuz, that he owes his friend 200 Zuz. Okay, v'nimtzeu zoymimim, and it came out that the zoymimim, there were zoymimim. You know what that means by now, I hope. So then, what loikin u meshalmin? They have to be punished, double punishment. Loikin u meshalmin. They get malchus, and also they have to pay the 200 zuz. Why? They have to pay malchus because it says that. Excuse me. Let's start. They have to not pay. They have to get malchus. They have to get malchus because there's an Issa Doraisa, Lotane Berachoet Shoker, don't lie in Beis Din. Yeah, that's second to last commandment in the Ten Commandments. Lotane Berachoet Shoker, and therefore, although this is a lav shen b'maiser, there's a special chidush that Eidim Zemimim, they get Malchus on the lav, like any other, most other lavim automatically get Malchus, and also Meshalmin. Why do they have to pay the 200 zuz? Because of the other punishment of they wanted to basically make the person pay 200 and based in Pascal like that, so they have to pay 200. And now, why don't we say kimla b'draba minei? Why don't we say that one punishment already is enough and you don't punish him double? Then because the punishment that is that the Hashem, the Posuk, the Din Torah that brings them to Makkos is not the one that brings them to Tashlumin, because these are two separate bears, two separate lavim. Therefore, they're two separate cheshbonis, and we don't say Kimlei. Azoy Dr. Rabbi Meir. We're going to see exactly what Rabbi Meir says Kimlei when it doesn't say Kimlei, but conceptually, Rabbi Meir holds that there is no Kimlei b'derabba minei in this case because why? Because these are two separate inyonim. Yeah, each mikra, each posuk is separate. Lotane is malkois, and the other one, yeah, the kasher zomam is the money, and the two don't meet. They accumulate. Yeah, one is on top of the other. The chachomim argue in Rabbi Meir, and they say kol meshalem eino loike. Chachomim believe that kol meshalem eino loike, that the concept of kimle b'darabah minei, of if a person has to be punished both physically and also has to be paid with monetarily, yeah, with money and in his body. So then we only punish him one out of the two. He gets one punishment out of the two. And in this case, we say, what does it mean? Since he has to pay, he doesn't get the malchus. They pay because of Kashel Zomam. They wanted to make him pay 200,000. They have to pay 200,000. Mashenke and the malchus they don't get. Now they don't. Yeah, you don't give them the malchus. The question is why? Should have been the other way around. Because kimle b'derabba minei means that you always give him the greater punishment. What's kimle b'derabba minei? Yeah, it's enough to give him the rabba minei, the greater punishment of the two. Rabba. So why do you give him? Why here you give them the punishment of the money and not the malkois? So the Gemara in Ksubas, the biggest, most central sugya of kimle b'derabba minei is in Ksubas. Yeah, beginning of third parak from around Daf Lamed Aleph to Daf Lamed Vavish. It's a big sugya. The Gemara discusses there for around 6 dapim kimle b'derabba minei. And the Gemara says that by Edim Zomimim, there's Gzeras HaKostuv, that if they have to pay money, you don't forgive the money. Because it says, Yad Tachas Yad, hand for a hand. And therefore what? Yad Tachas Yad means that Dover Hanitan Beyad, which is Momen. Edim Zomimim, regarding Edim Zomimim, the Parsha, a few psukim down the line there, it says Yad Tachas Yad. And therefore, if Edim Zomimim have anything monetary involved, any kind of money involved in the punishment, in the story, you have to punish them with money. You have to make them pay. Okay? So give up on the other punishment, on the bigger punishment of Malchus, because it says Kedei Rishos. Let me just get you to the source of Kimle. The source of Kimle, it says Kedei Rishosoi. That says it about Edim Zomim, actually. Kedei Rishosoi means you only give Malchus to the person, Kedei Rishosoi. Enough Kedei of Rishosoi. Risho achas v'lo shte rishoyos. Yeah, you only give him the one out of two punishments. If he deserves two punishments in one go, you give him one out of the two. Usually, you give him the greater one. Why should he be forgiven? But here, because it says yad tachas yad, you give him the lower one, the money, and Malchus, he goes scot-free. So if all they wanted to do, according to Chachomim, is to make someone pay money, you make them pay money, kashel domam. Very good. That's Chachomim. And Rabbi Meir says no. Rabbi Meir believes, as we're going to see in the Gemara, that in Malchus we don't say Kim leb'draba minei, as will be proved later on. Now, case number 2. Meidin anabish ploini shuchayev Malchus alboim. Yeah, now they came to Beis Din and they said we're made that someone gets Malchus alboim. What do you think they said about the person to make him pay, receive Malchus, to make him be flogged and afflicted? For example, what did they say about him? What do you think? No, give me an example. Why would the person get Malchus? Any lav sheyesh b'maisa. Any lav that has maisa, something active, and it's not lav anita klase, as we're going to see. They said that the person ate treif. They said that he ate chazer, they ate cheeseburger, v'chulei. So what's then? It's chav Malchus. Chav Malchus. The third parak of this masechta will deal with all the chiyuv Malchus. When do you get Malchus? V'chulei, v'chulei. So now those friends of ours, Edim Zemimim, in the second case of the Mishnah, in the Seifa, Me'idin anu b'ish ploini shu chayev Malchus arboim. We are made about that person that he's supposed to get Malchus alboim. We saw him last Wednesday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We passed by the Chazer store. We saw him eating Chazer, and we warned him, and he ate the Chazer. So now, please, Beis Din, give him the 40, which is really 39. V'nimtzu zamimin. Comes out that there's Zamimim, that they are lying. You know how they became Imanu Haisim. Another set of it became Imanu Haisim. Loikin Shmoinim. Wow. They have to get 2 sets of Malchus. Shmoinim minus 2, really. Yeah, it's really 78. Mishum Lotane Barachoid Shoker. Mishum Asisim Lokashal Zamam. Diva Mimer. They have to get 2. One Malchus is because of Lotane. Yeah, Lotane means because Stam. Because they broke the lav of Lotane, and that lav makes them get Malchus, that grants them the Malchus, and therefore they have to get a Malchus like any other love. What about the effect of Kashal Zomam? Very good. What did they want to do to the guy? To make him get Malchus. They instead will get Malchus. That's Rabbi Meir. So together they get 2 sets of 40, they get 80. The Chachamim Oimrim and Lokin El Boim. Chachamim, true to their original idea, Chachamim are consistent and they say no. He only has to get Malchus for what? For Kashel Zomam, but he doesn't get for Loitane. Loitane, he doesn't get the Malchus, as we're going to explain in the Gemara. Says the Heilige Gemara. Frag the Gemara. Yeah, Bishlam al Rabbanon. Daled Amud Beis, that's today's page. Frag the Gemara. Bishlam al Rabbanon, according to Rabbanon, I understand Rabbanon's logic and I understand their source. Kedei also iksiv, as I told you, the source of Kimle is, it says, Kedei Rishoso, look at the posuk in the sidebar, Vayam bina koi sarosho, vipilo shoifet, vikohu lefonov, Kedei Rishoso b'mispar. Kedei Rishoso, if you want to, if you have to give Malchus to someone as a punishment, Kedei Rishoso, give him Kedei enough, just enough, for his risha. By the way, and no loy toisif. You're not allowed to add. Yeah, you're not allowed to add and hit him once more. Let's say the one who's the shliach Beis Din, the one flogging. Yeah, the hangman. Not exactly hangman. Yeah, the hitman. In the execution now, not exactly. He's not killing. He's only hitting. He's a nice guy. But right, you execute the punishment. That's true. Instead of 39, instead of 39, you gave an extra 41 for the good measure. He's over in Issa Doraisa. You're not allowed to eat your friend. But the other limud we learn from that is kedei. Back to the Gemara. Mishum risho achas ata mechayvoi v'ata mechayvim shum shtei rishoyos. That's the kimle. You only make a person chayav by according to one risha. What he's supposed to get for one punishment. And you don't give double punishment. You don't give double punishment. There's no shtei rishoyos. So very good. So therefore, according to Chachomim, really he deserves the malchus because of lotana berachot choker. And also deserves the other punishment of kashal zomam, but we can't punish one person, again, for one action that contains two separate lavim. It's one action, it's one talk. This guy was eating chazer last Wednesday at 4 o'clock. The speech is like a peula, is like an action, and that action automatically there are over two punishments, kedushosoy and latane and kashal zomam, and you only give him one out of two, so that's understandable. That's very that's well sourced. According to Rabbi Meir, what's his reason? Meaning, my time explains Tosis, doesn't Rabbi Meir believe in Kimle? There's no such thing. Lo matzinu that a Tana does not believe doesn't believe in Kimle. It's a well-known source, and here we just brought the source right now from the Torah. Sa'akam Rabbi Meir is telling to punish him twice when the Torah says only once. Answers the Gemara, Omar Ula, remember the name Ula. My time, Omar Ula, Gomer Mimoitzi Shemra. Rabbi Meir learned something. Rabbi Meir is deriving a certain halacha from Moitzi Shemra. What's the halacha? Ma Moitzi Shemra. Wait a second. What's a Moitzi Shemra, please? Let's see what's Moitzi Shemra. Moitzi Shemra is a person. Literally, to be Moitzi Shemra means to badmouth. But Moitzi Shemra means to lie about someone and say that he did something bad when he didn't. Lashon hara means when he's saying the truth, saying something negative. Moitzi Shemra is when you make up stories about someone as Moitzi Shemra. The Chofetz Chaim says you have to be very careful, even when you're saying something l'to'elis, which has 7 conditions. One of the conditions, don't exaggerate or don't add some extra facts that were not really there, because then you're Moitzi Shemra. Now, but what's the original Moitzi Shemra that the Torah talks about? That's a man, a newly-wed chassan, and he claims that his wife was not a basula. He claims that last night he was with her for the first time, and oops, surprise, she's not a basula, and he claims that he knows for whichever reason that she was doina. She was a basula when they were misaris, when she became an eshes ish. Between the kiddushin and the nisuin, we learned in kiddushin there's a long time. There could be a whole year, as the Gemara says in Ktubas, and therefore he claims that during that time she was mezana, and she deserves skila. She's a naira moroso who did what she did under her husband, and she's chayav skila. Let's say her parents managed to prove otherwise. How is that proven? That's another story. Edim, whatever edim means, it's a cloth, it's an edim. Lamaisa, let's say they proved him wrong. And now came out that he's stam bad mouthing her. And he's lying about her. In Mamish in the deceitful way. What do you say then? So Omar Ula go 1 second before that. So what's the halacha then? The Torah says clearly you have to do to him 2 things. You punish him twice. It says v'yisru oisoi v'onshu oisoi. It says you have to give him malchus and he has to pay her 100 shekel. That's not today's 100 shekel. It's much more. And that's very interesting because a person who rapes a girl, I mean, honestly gives her 50 and the Motzei Shemer 100. Wow. The person who gave Motzei Shemer al B'sulas Bas Yisrael to badmouth a person is even worse than, although the Oines has many other other payments. But the Maisa, this guy, the Motzei Shemer, pays 100 shekel. That's a nice sum of money. Plus, he gets a malchus, and that's Gezeras HaKosov. There we don't say Kimle, because the Torah says outright, the Yisru, the Onshu, so there's no other way. So, if so, Rabbi Meir says, very good. Omarula, let's go back to Omarula. Gomer, Motzei Shemra. Rabbi Meir is learning from Motzei Shemra to Eidim Zomimim. We compare Motzei Shemra to Eidim Zomimim. Ma Motzei Shemra, loike u'mishalem, just like Motzei Shemra, loike u'mishalem, he gets malchus and he also pays the money. Av kol loike u'mishalem. Wow. Rabbi Meir wants to say now, not only regarding Eidim Zomimim, any person who gets malchus, and he also has to pay, for whichever reason, the same act made him also get malchus and pay, he has to get malchus and pay. In other words, halacha, according to Rabbi Meir of Kimle, only applies to death. Maybe other cases, but what I saw in Ksubas, death, you don't kill a person and also make him pay from the Yolshim. Yeah, seriously. Let's say a person, as I told you, he stole on Shabbos, moitzi moshus loshus. Case in Ksubas, the case in Shabbos, that Yalef on Beis, in the bottom of the page, you can see it over there. The person stole on Shabbos, miyuchshus yochid ushus arabim. Oh, he did two for the price of one. He's a very crafty, resourceful guy. He made very diligent. He managed to do it moshus loshus and theft. So then what do we say? You execute him. If it's tak edim v'asro, what happens then? No, you give him skila. And now the family, his assets, you don't have to pay money to the person that you stole from. Why? Even Rabbi Meir agrees. That's Kimli. But when it comes to Malchus, Malchus and payment is different from Motzi Shemra. Motzi Shemra taught us that there's an exception to the rule. If a person only gets his Malchus and also payment, you give him Malchus and you make him pay. That's what we want to say, and definitely learn it. Before we talk about Kol Torkula, clearly we learn it from Motzi Shemra to Eidim Zomimim. Okay? Misvara, we compare the two. Back the Gemara, you can't compare them. Mala Motzi Shemra, Sheken, Knas. Motzi Shemra, how can you learn anything from Motzi Shemra? Motzi Shemra is Knas, which means, what's Knas, as we saw many, many times. Motzi Shemra pays 100 shekel. Who said? Well, the Heilige Torah, Kadosh Baruch Hu said. But it's not a logical payment. Yeah, he didn't take 100 shekel from the girl. He badmouthed her. He gave her bad name in society. How do you gauge that? Some people would say 50, some 100, some 0, some, I don't know, pay for a psychologist or pay for, he should now announce all over the world she's a good girl. Who says 100 shekels? It's not a quid pro quo payment that makes sense. It's not like I'm paying for theft. I'm paying for something for salary that he worked. The Torah decided arbitrary amount, 100 shekels. That's classical knas. And therefore, if this is knas, look at Rashi says, kol knas chidushu. Rashi, the wide lines on the top. Which means, let's now, as I said, leave all other halachas in the Torah. We're talking about Motzi Shemra. You want to learn from Motzi Shemra that you pay double trouble, malchus and money, from Motzi Shemra to who? To the Eidim Zomimim. You're learning it misvara, not from psukim. One has nothing to do with the other. Why? Because the Motzi Shemra is the person that deserves the knas he pays as a knas. From knas, you can't learn to momin, as we saw it in Kiddushin at the beginning. Knas and momin are not the same. Eidim Zomimim, according to the Gemara's understanding, is logical payment. You made them lose. You wanted to make them lose 200. You pay 200. You wanted to make them lose 217 and a half 2 cents. You have to pay that amount. So it's a logical amount. Mashenken, the payment of the Motzi Shemra is knas. How can you learn from knas to regular money? One is nothing to the other. That's knas, and that's logical payment. And says the Gemara, Sover Lo must be Rabbi Meir, whom we are discussing now. Sover Lo Rabbi Akiva. Very good. Must be that Rabbi Meir is friendly, is in the same shita, same derech, same idea as Rabbi Akiva. What do Rabbi Akiva say? Eidim Zomimim are knas, which means Rabbi Akiva, which we've seen a few dafim ago, one daf ago actually, says what? Rabbi Akiva says Eidim Zomimim is a knas. Why is it a knas? Because although the amount is logical, now listen to this here. The amount is logical. You want to make them lose $215.50. You pay $215.50. It's true. This is quid pro quo. But the whole concept of Eidim Zomimim is one big knas, because they didn't take it from him, and he didn't even pay it, as the Gemara says. The gavel was down. It was decided that Mr. Accused will pay to the supermarket owner that he stole from, according to them, 217.5 shekels. Then the other Eidim came and proved them wrong. Very nice. What happens next? Well, he didn't pay. The accused didn't actually pay, and yet they have to pay him. That's knas. It's not logical. He didn't really lose anything. I mean, he had a lot of courtroom drama, and his heart was beating, and he was scared. Maybe they'll make me pay 200 shekels. But Lamaisa, nothing really happened, and yet you make them pay. According to Rabbi Akiva, that's one big knas. The whole concept is a knas, not the number. The whole concept is a knas. Chachamim don't think it's a knas. Probably because Chachamim say, listen, the amount makes sense. But says Rabbi Akiva, no, but the whole story does make sense. It's Eidim Zomimim who said Gzeras HaKosuv, and therefore it's a knas. So let's now review. And there's a very important Tosfos. Before we get to the next sugi, I'm going to get back to Tosfos, but I want to get to a certain point and then go back to Tosfos. Basically, before we go on, the maskana is as follows. According to Chachamim, Kimle, money and malchus, musical chairs. 2 children, 1 chair, cruel game. One kid will end up in the chair, the other one will not. Very good. Which one? Well, there's exception to the rule. We make a reverse kimli. The lighter punishment is what they get. Why? Because it says yad beyad moment. That's chachomim. Beautiful. But Rabbi Meir says no. I don't believe that when it comes to Malchus, I don't say we don't apply the rule of kimle, but the person who deserves Malchus will have to pay money if there's money involved, and also chap the Malchus. Both. Why? We learn it from Moitzi Shemra to Eidim Zomimim. What happens b'chol Torah kula, by the way, is not so clear. I want to prepare you for Tosfos. Right now, it sounds as if Rabbi Meir only says that in Knossos. The two cases which Rabbi Meir speaks about are Moitzi Shemra and Eidim Zomimim. What's the common denominator according to Rabbi Meir and his friend Rabbi Akiva? Knas. When it comes to Knas, you chap the Malchus and you pay the Knas. What would Rabbi Meir say about regular payment of money with Malchus? Apparently, the Gemara in Ksuba says yes. According to Rabbi Meir, but there's no kimle. Let's say a person has to pay regular money on Malchus. Yeah, at the same time, I don't know, you stole someone's chazir and ate it. Something like that. I don't know, something like that. You stole it baiting, so you have to pay for the chazir. Chazir is shovim kesef, not also bano. And also you ate the chazir, right? So according to Rabbi Meir, you get the Malchus and you have to pay. Even though there it's not knas. So we'll leave that question on the side. Is it only limited to knas or is it more global? That will be discussed in Tosfos. I want to go a little bit into the sugya and then go back. Ikadematni. Now some say Ikadematni lo de ula aha. Some people apply the words of ula on the following braisa. What did ula say? Ula said, Gomer Moitzi Shemra, right? Ula told us that when you have Moitzi Shemra as the example, as a paradigm of who? Of a person who's punished twice, that's clearly in the Torah. Nobody can argue on that. First, onshu oisai v'yisro oisai. Maybe the other explanations, Pshat, you flog him and you make him pay. Very nice. That's for sure by Moitzi Shemra. Okay. So now, and what did we say? You compare it to Eidim Zomimim. That statement of Ula that compares Eidim Zomimim to Shemra, that we now cut and pasting it to a different brisa. According to a new opinion, what Ula said applies to a different story. Let's see what the story is, what the brisa is. The Tanya. It says in the brisa, okay, it says over there, later on in Masechta, the Tanya. It says in the Torah, in Parashat Shmois, regarding Korban Pesach. Lo, I'm reading the pasuk from the sidebar. Which means Korban Pesach, and the truth is all other korbanos, you're not allowed to make them stay overnight till the morning. You're supposed to eat the korban, and the entire korban should be eaten before the morning. Let's say it's Pesach, it's only one night and that's it. The day and the Pesach is just one night actually. One night only, until the morning. You're supposed to eat the whole thing until chatzos. Yeah, midrabanan. Bekitzer and vanoisel miminat boker be'eshtisoifu. You're not allowed to leave it till the morning. What happened if you left it on purpose till the morning? Then maybe you get malchus. I don't know. I'm just suggesting. It's a lav d'oraisa. The person on purpose says, I'm full. I'm on a diet. I don't have koch to eat this. I'll leave it till tomorrow. I don't have koyach. And then it says, and whatever was left to the morning, which shouldn't really be, but there's the mitzvah say, whatever is left over, which really shouldn't be, then should be burnt in the fire. Okay. So now, what's the Torah telling me? So there's a lot to say, don't leave it, and if you did, you have to burn it. Ba Kosuv continues the brisa. Ba Kosuv liten asay achar loy taaseh loy mershen loykin all of divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Says Rabbi Yehuda, the Torah is giving me the asay after the loy taaseh. Basically, the Torah says, you know what you should do if you left it. Hey, naughty boy, you left it till the morning. Oh, there's a kapara, there's a remedy, there's a solution. What is it? There's a mitzvah asay of do burn it in the fire. That's a classical, not just a classical, that's a source, not just a classical case, of lav hanita klase. Lav hanita klase means, sometimes the Torah tells me that don't do X, but rather do Y. don't do the bad thing, but rather do the good thing. Do a mitzvah say. In other words, instead, you know what's going to happen if you went wrong, then correct it, remedy it by doing something else. That is telling me, in other words, according to Rabbi Yehuda, she'en loikin olov, and that, by the way, is exception to the rule number 2 of what? Some lavim de oraisa, which a person does not get malchus for. What is that? Lav anita klase, right? Okay, for example, shiluch haken, right? Don't take the mother when the kids are there. Don't take the beitzim, the frochim, the children when the mother is there. But rather, what should you do? Shalach to shalach. Don't do X, but rather do Y. Don't do the bad, but do the good. The Torah is hinting in all these cases that there is no malchus involved. So how many exceptions we have to the rule? Just to collect. One exception to the rule of malchus is lav she'ein boy ma'aseh. Remember from a few days ago. In other words, let's say the passive lav, I'm doing something but not actively but passively, I don't get the malchus. Or lav hanita klase, lav which has the say attached to it, don't do X but rather do Y. There's no malchus. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Very nice. Rabbi Akiva argues on Rabbi Yehuda, and he says, "Lo min Hashem uzeh." Yeah, you may be right that he's not loike. I agree, my colleague Rabbi Yehuda, that a person who created leftover, he left over, remnants of the korban on purpose. Bad boy. And it's true that he doesn't get malchus, but not because of this shem. Shem here means reason. In the Mishnah, shem meant posuk or source. Here, shem means reason. Akiva says, no, that's true, but it's not from your reason. Ela mishum david alav shen b'maisa. Simply, that's alav shen b'maisa. When a person leaves behind the food, is that active? No, it's passive aggressive. He's leaving the food on the plate, on the table. He's not eating. He doesn't eat the korban. V'chol lav shen b'maisa and lokin olav. Any lav that is no maisa, you don't get malchus. Simple. So says Rabbi Akiva, why do you have to command your business of lav anita klase? There's another reason why the Pesach guy, the guy who Leila Seder left it for tomorrow on purpose, he's lazy, he's a rosho, I don't know what, he's leaving it behind. And that's not, of course he's not loike, but simply because it's not an active lav. How do you know only active lavim get malchus? Because the case in the Torah, or the halacha of malchus is mentioned next to losachsom shol bedishoy. Don't muzzle the ox when he's eating, when he's threshing, and that's a very active thing. You put it on his mouth. So Bekitzer says, Rabbi Kiva, that's the reason. Oh, now that was machlokes. So Bida says, everyone agrees. A person who has a leftover korban, he left behind some food, some of the boss of the flesh of the korban, he doesn't get malchus. Why? Says Rabbi Yehuda, because of lav shenita klase, connected to an assay. Rabbi Kiva says no, because it's lav shen b'maisa, it's a passive lav. That adkan, that was the discussion there. That's the Tanoim. Now the Gemara is commenting on the Tanoim. Michlal, that is to say, I will derive from here the Abuda Sova, lav she'en b'maisa lo kinolo. Must be Rabbi Kiva would answer to Rabbi Yehuda. If Rabbi Yehuda was alive now, how would he answer Rabbi Akiva that I believe lav shen b'maisa get malchus? Wow. Rabbi Yehuda believes the lav shen b'maisa, a passive lav, a person is like a person gets a lav shen b'maisa, like in olive, right? Okay, interesting. So that should be the answer. Now the Rabbi Yehuda would say, you're telling me that anyway the Pesach guy who left over Pesach doesn't get malchus because lav shen b'maisa. No, I think lav shen b'maisa, like in olive, you do get malchus for passive lavim. So why is it that you don't get the malchus? Because it's a lavanita klase. Because the Torah gives you the positive spin in it, the positive solution. Minale, wait a second, where does it learn that from? Because Rabbi Yehuda knows very well that the Torah says about lotachsom shol b'dishoy, that it's a mitzvah, it's a lotas shebeyadayim. So where did Rabbi Yehuda take the new idea against kolator kula, the lav shen b'maisa loikin olav? We never saw that, the passive lav, the guy sits there, I'm not eating the korban, so, and you get malchus, if not for nita klase, mechites minal. How do you know that from? Omar Ula, here comes Ula. The same Ula that was mentioned before, now Ula is attached to this part of the sugya. Omar Ula, no, Gomar mimoitzi shemra. We'll learn that from Moitzi Shemra, meaning, Ma Moitzi Shemra lav shen b'maise. Loikin olov. Moitzi Shemra is not an active lav, because the assumption is although it's a discussion at the beginning of Maseches Krisus and other places, whether speech, akimas fosav, when you talk, is that called a maisa? It's not completely passive, like sitting there, I'm not eating. That's completely passive, but it's not active. It's not active as doing something with your hands, like muzzling the animal. I'm talking. To talk is somewhere between, also in Hashkafa and Jewish philosophy, to talk is somewhere between thinking and maisa. It's in between. So basically, the dibur, let's now assume the dibur speech, when he comes to Beis and he says, this girl is a mezana, princess dike, she was mezana under me. He didn't do anything. He said something. And yet you see that it gets Malchus. Haha, look at that. Again, Omarula. Gomer Moitzi Shemra. Ma Moitzi Shemra lav she'en bo maise. There is no maise, there's no action in the lav. It's only speech and not a maise. It's not real active biyadayim. And yet, like in all of, it's mefurash, v'yisro oisoi, the afflict him, the flog him, av kol lav she'en bo maise, like in all of. Wow. According to Rabbi Yehuda, all lav shen b'maisa lokin all of. Enochinami, big chidush, but Rabbi Yehuda has the source. Yeah, I don't know what he does with the juxtaposition of the shore. I don't know. But the Maisa, he has his own source. He says, look, Moitzi Shemra will teach me for kol Torah kula, lav shen b'maisa, passive lav, a lav that does not involve anything active, you get the malchus. Including the person who's moisir, who leaves over the korban, the flesh of the korban. Elamai, there's another reason why the one leaving behind doesn't get malchus, because it's lavanita klama. Okay. Correct the Gemara. The Gemara is now challenging of Yehuda, asking, I ma lamoitzi shemra shekin loike u'mishalim. It's not the same. Moitzi shemra does not reflect the normal lav shen b'maisa. Why? Moitzi shemra, the Torah really treats him harshly. The Torah says that he gets both malchus and teshlumin clearly. Everyone has to agree to that. The Torah says ve'onsho isoi ve'yisro isoi. He gets both yisurim, physical yisurim, 39 lashes. That's not fun, and he gets oynesh 100. That's a big knas. It's one of the biggest knasses in the Torah, if not the biggest. 100 shekel. It's a lot. This guy, from some reason, is treated very, very harshly. So you can't compare between him and the regular guy who alav shem b'maisa, a guy who sits there doesn't eat the korban. It's not the same. Okay. So therefore, Moshe Shlokim Mashalim, Ela Moshe Lakish. Therefore, says Rish Lakish. Okay, there's another source. Gono made him Zermimin. Very nice. Fine. What does it mean? Rabbi Yehuda is now learning. He now knows that any passive love gets malchus from Edim Zermimin. We found a Naya place, a new source. Ma Edim Zermimin lav she'en b'maaseh loikin olov. Remember? We said in Daf Beis Amud Beis, although Edim Zomimim are just talking, they're not doing anything, and yet when do they get Malchus? When do they get Malchus? When they're giving Eidus against Holol, right? Or about the person who is a Rotzeach B'Shoigeg, they get Malchus. So Edim Zomimim get Malchus, even according to Chachamim, they sometimes get Malchus, and yet you see the Edim Zomimim, Lav Shen B'Maise, Loisane Berecho Lav Shen B'Maise, and Loikin Olov, yet to get the Malchus. Of kol lav shen b'maise lokin olov. So too any other lav shen b'maise lokin olov. The source is edim zomimim. Edim zomimim, they are something else. Edim zomimim, they teach me that there is lav shen. There are malchus. Malchus applied to lav shen b'maise, right? And so too b'chol Torah kula lav shen b'maise lokin olov. Frag the Gemara, first wide line. Ma edim zomimim sheken ein tzrichin asro. Edim Zomimin, and this is something which I'd like to elaborate on tomorrow, Blin if I remember. Lamaisa, Edim Zomimim have a chumrah, besides the shadow of Knas, leave that alone, the whole idea of Edim Zomimim. But even if you think Edim Zomimim is a normal halacha, there is one clear chumrah Edim Zomimim have that others don't, and that is they don't require a throw. I want to look more into it, but the Gemara in Ksubas, the Gemara of Kimley, tells us that there is no moment in time we can actually give a throw to Edim Zomimim. Let me just explain. As we all know, whether the punishment is execution mamish, is alba misas bezdin, or the punishment is malchus, eating chazir, wearing shatnez, srita, kakua, the people who make tattoo, if you warn them, they have to get malchus. Not funny. They'll look already like if they got malchus with a tattoo, you have to give them the real malchus. Yeah. So now, what about all these things? The Adim, Zaimimim, they're an exception to the rule. The only ones that you're not supposed to warn them before, because all other oinshim of death or affliction or hitting, you only punish the person if there was pre-warning by the two Adim. The two Adim gave Hasra a warning, and he said, no, I'll still do it. Then you punish him or her, the victim, the choite. Here, by Adim Zamimim, there's no Hasra. You don't give them Hasra of Adim Zamimim to be discussed tomorrow, bli neder. But that's a very special chumrah. So therefore, again, how can you learn from Edim Zemimim to any regular run-of-the-mill regular punishment of Malchus? Edim Zemimim already have a chumrah. The chumrah of punishing without a throw. You punish without pre-warning. That's already bad enough. And therefore, there we also find another chumrah. You get the logic? When you see one chumrah in the din, that din likes more chumras. It's attracting like a magnet more and more chumras. We find one chumrah, another chumrah too, of Malchus Bechlal, even though Lav Shen B'Maiser. But could be a person who's Moiser, a person who does Noiser, maybe you give him warning, you have to give him warning, maybe then he doesn't get Malchus. Maybe there's no Malchus there, Lav Shen B'Maiser. Answers the Gemara, Moichi Shemra Yochiach, as the Gemara does many, many times in these cases, yeah, the Moitzi Shemra, he will prove, meaning, Moitzi Shemra, but Moitzi Shemra, apparently there is warning. You warn the nice chosen who comes to lie or not lie about his kala, you give him a straw, if you're lying, you're going to get chapped, you're going to chap Malchus and pay. So Moitzi Shemra, you see, although he doesn't have that chumrah of not being warned, yet he still gets the Malchus. In other words, let's now see in front of our eyes, as many, many times happens in the Gemara and Limudim. There are two potential sources, fathers to the din of Lav, She'en B'Maise, Loikin Olov. Where are the two halachas? Moitzi Shemra and Edim Zomimim. Edim Zomimim, you're telling me you can't learn from Edim Zomimim because it's too machmir, too from Edim Zomimim. Because there's no asran, you're still chayv. So now let's go to Moitzi Shemra, you see that even though you do need a straw, it's not so severe. You only punish with a straw, and yet Lav Shen B'Maisi Lokim Olav. So you see what each one is. On the other end, what would you say back? It's actually Moitzi Shemra. We see that he gets double trouble for sure. We know he gets mufurish in the Torah. He gets double punishment, malchus and money. Edim Zomimim, it's debatable. According to Chachamim, they don't get double. So there, each one is a chumrah and a kula. Each one has a severe side, a more grave side, a more lenient, more kal, and more strict, more severe. So v'chozer adin. So now we apply like a ping pong between them, common denominator. Lo re'izeh kere'izeh. This one is not exactly like that one. That one is not like this one. Each one has a plus and a minus. At the end of the day, when you calculate one has a plus and a minus, and the other one has a plus and a minus, what's a common denominator between Moitzi Shemra and the Edim Zomimim? Lav Shen B'Maise V'Loikin Olov. It's Lav Shen B'Maise V'Loikin Olov. Very good. Both of them are inactive. Both are passive lavim. And Loikin Olov, the Moitzi Shemra is only talking, and the Edim Zomimim are only talking. That's actually very similar, and they're both lying. And one thing we see for sure, they get the Malchus. So to any other lav shen b'maise in the Torah, such as leaving behind the noiso meat, the meat of the korban, also you get malchus. Frag the Gemara, wait a second, it's not the same. There is still something that they share and other lavim don't. What is that? They share something that a regular lav doesn't. She can knas. If you follow Rabbi Akiva, then these two are closed in their own little world, in their own little bubble. Because according to Rabbi Akiva, Edim Zomimim, what are they? They are knas. Edim Zomimim are not the normal halacha. It's a knas. Edim Zomimim is not a logical idea. I wanted and I planned. The guy didn't leave. One dime did not leave his pocket. So why punishing me? I'm Mr. Ed Zomim. I'm the lawyer of the Edim Zomimim. What do you want from my clients? The Torah says you pay because you pay. You pay. Yeah, when you park in the no parking area, you pay 250 shekels. The place was deserted. You're not hurting anybody. So what? That's the rule. You pay that amount of money, so you don't do it again. And therefore, Edim Zomimim we say is a knas. Now, although that's debatable, and Moitzi Shemra is clearly a knas. That's the knas midoraisa clearly. Ha ha. So maybe knas you can't learn from knas to regular halachas. Knas has a place of its own in Gan Eden. Knas says it's under a place. It's an under a zach. So how can you learn from knas? When you say lav shen b'maisa, of course he pays and gets malchus and alle gita zachen. Of course, because it's a knas. Mashenkin, when it comes to not eating the korban on time, who said that's not knas, not even money? It's a completely different story. And says the Gemara, no, halakasha, that's not difficult. Rabbi Yehuda lo sover lo ke Rabbi Akiva. Very good, very nice. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold like Rabbi Akiva. Very nice, very, very nice. Rabbi Akiva is not the one Rabbi Yehuda is following. You're assuming that Eidim Zomimim is a knas. That's very true according to Rabbi Akiva. According to Tanakama, in Dav Beis Amud Beis and later, no, we hold that Eidim Zomimim are the regular things, right? Okay, therefore the regular payment, and therefore you can learn from Eidim Zomimim to Moitzi Shema to Eidim Zomimim. One is a knas, but the other one is not a knas. Eidim Zomimim are not a knas, so you can learn from Eidim Zomimim to Kol HaTorah Kula. Frag the Gemara, and that's what Rabbi Yehuda does. He learns B'chol HaTorah Kula lav shen b'maisa lo kinolo chidush. Frag the Gemara. Ela, another question. Mala tzad shovish ben sheken yesh ben tzad chomu. At tzad shovish behem, they still share something. This is now a claim against the common denominator we're trying to create by Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda wants to say just like Eidim Zomimim and the Moitzi Shemra. What do you say about them? They have to be punished, generally speaking, even though it's en b'maisa. So to any lav shen b'maisa, any passive lav, you sit there cross-armed, cross-legged, don't do anything. The Avera is not doing the right thing. So too, you have to get Malchus. Fact the Gemara, no. Sheken yesh ben tzad chomu. In other words, Eidim Zomimim and the Moitzi Shemra, it's true that they're not the same, but both of them have a chumrah that other halachas don't. One of them is in Moitzi Shemra, the chumrah is that he's loike or mishalim, and in Zomimim, the chumrah is that don't get us raw. So at the end of the day, they are more severe. If you join the two chumras together, they are more severe, more stringent than other halachas. So how can you learn from them, from chumra club to other kol HaTorah Kula? And that's what Chachamim don't hold of that common denominator. I have Rabbi Yehuda, and this is now the final stage for now. Rabbi Yehuda said chomer loy porich. Says Rabbi Yehuda, no, I don't care that each one has his own chumra. Why? Look at Rashi. This is the fourth Rashi from bottom of the page. Extremely, as Rashi does. Sad chomer lo porich. Says Rashi, hoil v'chumra shel zeh, ein a chumra shel zeh, ein tam malchus tolui boy. Gold. He says like this. It's true that each one is a chumrah, but the chumrah of the one is not the chumrah of the other. The chumrah of Moitzi Shemra is one thing, of Loiki or Meshalim, we give him double. That does not exist in Eidim Zomimim. Eidim Zomimim, on the other hand, have a chumrah of they don't need a straw. So because the chumras are different, ein tama malchus tolui boy. The reason you give malchus is not because of the chumrah, because you see the chumras are different. They happen to be that there's a chumrah, but the malchus are not because of the chumrah, and therefore I can learn that any lav, even without chumrah, you get the malchus. Let's summarize. Now, okay, and then I want to see Tosfos or parts of it, and then I want to see the Gemara weiter. So now I want to summarize it. Yeah. The story is as follows. Yeah, summarize time. Yeah, to give some synthesis. According to Rabbi Yehuda, in the second statement, where we wanted to pin Ula to the second statement, Rabbi Yehuda holds that a person who's over a lav she'ein b'maisa, for example, what we're dealing with right now, noiso, a person purposefully left behind meat of the korban and did not eat it on time, is over lav d'oraisa. It's a very severe thing, terrible. Now, does he get malchus? Says Rabbi Yehuda, yes, we derive from Rabbi Yehuda quite clearly, you get malchus, and this is against the Nakama, against Chachamim, against Rabbi Kiva, against everybody. Most Tanoim say no. Lav shen b'maisa ein loikin olav. Rabbi Yehuda now got in the defense. Rabbi Yehuda has to defend his case. Where are you taking this from? That lav shen b'maisa loikin olav. So I'll give them a skona, because we saw two places in the Torah where a person does something passive. What do you mean does something passive? Dibur. speech according to Rabbi Yehuda, which again, I'm just telling you is a debate, just for your general knowledge. If akimas sfosov, it's called akimas sfosov, distorting your lips, is that called Maisa or not? According to Yehuda, no. When you talk, it's not called Maisa. I'm talking and talking, I'm going to America tomorrow and, I don't know, sell 10 million houses. I can talk many things, it doesn't mean it's reality. And because we saw two places in the Torah where there is nothing active and yet the person gets Malchus, one is Motzi Shemra and one is Edim Zomimim, right? Therefore, B'chol Torah Kula, also we're going to see that Lav Shen B'mais Elokin Olov. L'choira, those two cases were more severe. They had certain chumras, certain stringencies that don't apply to the rest of the Torah. Says Rabbi, I don't care. But because the stringencies are different, right? They're not the same. They're not the cause for the Malchus. The Malchus are there anyways, whether there's Maisa or not Maisa. Chachamim will say otherwise. Chachamim will say no. Only these two cases, exceptions to the rule, because they had chumras. They do allege the chumrah to the Malchus. But a regular run of the mill lav that doesn't have a chumrah, we say no. Now, I want to read, because we're learning Bekias and we don't have time, I'm skipping, look at Tosfos, let me just flip in my own Gemara, it's on the screen here. Look at the first wide line of Tosfos, yeah? The third Tosfos in the page, yeah? Soba Loka Rabbi Akiva. I want to go back to the first statement of Ula. What did we say in the first statement? That when let's read the Gemara for a second before we do the Tosfos v'Shloima. Yeah, remember that the first concept was loike umeshalem according to Rabbi Meir. What did Rabbi Meir say? Rabbi Meir says when it comes to Malchus of Eidim Zomimim, they get the Malchus for Lotane. Lotana Brachet Shokir. You lied in Beis Din. I don't care about Zomimim Shmoimimim. You lied in Beis Din, Mr. and the other Mr. Beryl Shmerel Eidim Zomimim. Malchus. Ooh, what did you say in your Eidus? Did I hear you right? You said that he owes the other guy 200,000 shekels? Oh, Basism Lakosher Zamam 200,000. So he gets both. They get both to pay and get afflicted. L'choiro, the Kimla B'derabba Minei, says Rabbi Meir, Ma Pitom. I learned from Motzi Shemra. Motzi Shemra is really halacha that tells you clearly that the person pays, and I'm bringing in the K word, Kenas and Malchus is what the Motzi Shemra gets, right? I'm going to learn from Motzi Shemra to another Kenas, I'm stressing this, Kenas, because he believes that Eidim Zomim are Kenas like Rabbi Akiva. Knas are good friends. They're in the same club. So now I know that just like by one Knas, loike umeshalem, so to by Eidim Zomim Knas loike umeshalem. Says Tosfos, I'm saving you the long question of Tosfos, but let's ask the question that basically, if I follow the Gemara right, if I got you right, what's Rabbi Meir saying? That when it comes to loike umeshalem by Knas, then you say both. Because Knas has a special chumrah. Knosses have a club of their own, exclusive VIP. Yeah, the Knas, because it's a Knas, you get loike umeshalem. Okay, so wait a second. Frek Tosfos, so the long question, so what would be, as I told you, a person is really over a non-Knas, regular momain, and Malchus. Yeah, let's say I somehow stole from my friend by eating his chazer. Let's say I was Magbia, I don't know how, yeah? I ate the chazer belonging to my friend, chas v'sholem, and I ate, and at the same time, I'm doing gneva and eating chazer, Malchus and Tashlumin, then I would not get both. No, because it's not a knas. Is that so? Tosfos proves from many places that that's not true. That according to Rabbi Meir, even regular money and Malchus, you still get both, not only by knas. So what is going on over here? Tosfos comes with an unbelievable, beautiful answer. V'yesh loymar. Listen carefully, and this is the answer v'yesh loymar. Says Tosfos. I'm reading inside. The Vadai clearly ben Rabbi Meir ben Rabbanon. And by the way, I just want to remind you, according to Rabbanon, we don't say that, right? According to Rabbanon, they don't believe in the whole story to begin with. Rabbanon say, Kimle, we are regular mainstream people. We say, no, mapitom, straight-laced. Kimle, Mr. Kimle. We say always there's Kimle. Over here, it's a reverse Kimle. You give the lesser oynish, but still Kimle. Says Tosis, the Vada ben al b'meir ben rabbonon leika chiluk ben moment leknas. There's no difference between money and regular money and knas. Leinian din de loikim mishalim. They both agree either loikim mishalim or not loikim mishalim. Now Tosis says a brilliant thing. What's the source? Before we continue, what's the source of kimle? From Michderish Osoy. When you punish, when you hit a person once and not twice, one punishment and not two. Says Toises that Michderish Osoy Yelfinan Lei. We learn that halacha from Michderish Osoy. We learn the source of Kimlei. Michderish Osoy ktiv gab edim zoimimim. Edim zoimimim Kiderish Osoy, as we saw in Daf Base, is written regarding edim zoimimim. So edim zoimimim are the source for Kimlei b'chol kula. Hilkach, therefore, brilliant. Lera b'meir de sava edim zamim miknasahu v'shaper yalfina lumimotzi shemra lememor de loikin meshalmin im ken kederishos and yichlev gabi didud and match derishos lekaluk b'malchus umomoin. Very good. V'tzich lukma b'miso b'malchus. Let me explain. The source, the tap, the source where the entire kimla comes from is edim zamimim. Says the Gemara, very brilliant. Says Rabbi Meir, listen. Edim Zemimim is your source for the entire Torah to tell you, Kimle. Guess what? The Din Malchus is mentioned where also in the Edim Zemimim. If I learned from one Knas called who? Moitzi Shemra. I learned to another Knas called what? Another Knas called Edim Zemimim. And I closed the tap. I closed the source and I said, Malchus, no Kimle. Malchus applies together with money. Gezun Tehei, the more the better. Give them 39 Malchus and make them pay $5 million. Now the entire source for Kimle, which is Edim Zayimim, does not have Kimle in Malchus. So now we know for regular money also, because we learned from Edim Zayimim to the Kolator Kula, we learned the idea of Kimle. And I now reduced, I diminished and took away the idea of Kimle regarding Malchus, and Malchus and money apply together. Very good. Mimela, now you have to say, Misa umalchus are the only times when you say Kimle, or Misa and money, as far as I remember, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm almost sure. Misa and Malchus, or Misa and money, person deserves death and Malchus, or death and money, then we say don't do Kimle, right? Okay? Kedisa l'perek elunarus. We don't have to come out to Knas anymore. How does he say that it's not Kimle? I'll tell you how. Because although Edim Zomim is a Knas, Lamais at the end of the day, you can ask on the Gemara, but the Gemara does learn the source for Kimle, for Malchus. And Malchus happens to be in Edim Zomimim. So if Edim Zomimim, it's like a chain reaction. Edim Zomimim learned they have a friend called Motzi Shemra. They're both Knossos. Now, Motzi Shemra taught Mr. Edim Zomimim that when it comes to Malchus and money, you give Malchus and money. Now, Edim Zomimim, stage two now, Edim Zomimim, Malchus, is the source for Kolator Kula of Kimle. So if you nipped it in the bud, and already in Edim Zomimim, we say that there is Malchus and money. So now when Edim Zomimim is Or Lagoim, he's teaching the whole Torah of Kimle, so it's obviously not teaching it that Malchus and money aren't paid together. They are paid together. Because already in the source in Edim Zomimim, you do have Malchus and money. So therefore, B'chol HaTrukor, you'll have Malchus and money, even in regular Mammon. If a guy ate Chazir at the same time stole, in the same action, Gezun Tehed. Is chayav what? I'll give you a better example. A person hit his friend. A person stabbed his friend not to death. Yeah, he stabbed his friend, and he has a very nice Gucci shirt on. So the friend says, "You hit me, you stabbed me. Now, you have to pay me, and you also have my shirt." Let's say, yeah. So let's say there's Malchus because of Baal Toisif. He was warned. You're hitting your friend. Hitting your friend, you have to pay. Besides a 5 tashlumin, maybe not such a good example, but what about the shirt? You have payment of money, and you have Malchus, right? So now, aval, v'chule. Im ken, vada omar bimer, b'chol duchte de loike mashalim, af legal b'momoin. Mimela, loike mashalim applies even by man. Continuing Tosfos. The mechitesi l'miyuti, where do you have a place to take it? Mechitesi to be mamai, to exclude it. Aval Rabbonon, now let's go to Rabbonon, who argue on Rabbi Meir. The Svir lo Edim Zomimim Mamoinahu. Edim Zomimim is money, not Knas, not like Rabbi Akiva, it's Mamoin, right? and now you don't, there's a short circuit, lack of communication between Motzi Shemra. Motzi Shemra is the father of all evils. By him we know clearly, no Kimle. That's for sure. The Torah says, Onshu v'Yisru, both. But he does not teach anything to Edzoimim. Lekach lo yelpin mi Motzi Shemra, the Loikim Mishalem, right? Motzi Shemra, Loikim Mishalem, because it's Knas. Edim Zomim is Momoin. There's no Loikim Mishalem. No, there isn't. And therefore, Kimle applies even to Malchus. You give Malchus, you don't pay. Very good. Say no. When it comes to Edzoimim, no, I don't learn anything from Motzi Shemra. Motzi Shemra is a bad boy. He's a knas. You can't learn from him to Edim Zomim, and therefore in Elokim Mishalem, not yet. Kimle applies. There's no Malchus and Teshlumin together. You give Malchus, no Teshlumin. Now, this can be the shofar, the source of light to the whole Torah. Basically, now we know from Edim Zomimim that we do say Kimle, Malchus only, and no money. Beat Knas, beat Moment, beat whichever money you want. And Edim Zomimim teach you to the whole Torah. Yes, Kimle means you only kill and you don't pay. You only kill, you don't get Malchus, and you only give Malchus and you don't pay. Very, very good. Now, okay, I hope that was clear. That's Machlokes Rabbi Kiva and Chachamim based on the base. Avad, and explained why. I think I haven't seen it in the Rishonim or the Achronim, but I think the idea is quite simple. According to Chachamim, Edim Zomim is not a knas. Why? Because once the Torah gave me the Gzeras HaKosuv that Vasisim Lo Kashal Zomam, once we get used to the idea of Gzeras HaKosuv, and by the way, I read you the tour that says it's not Gzeras HaKosuv. That's besides the point. There is logic to Edim Zomimim, because the second Edim are made in the first one. But the Maisa, the main idea is that Edim Zomimim, there is logic. Every Lahavdil Goy would say, they wanted to make him pay $5,017.50 and £2, 5,000 and £2. I'm giving pig quid pro quo. It's not so crazy. Mashenkin Rabbi Kiva says the whole thing is crazy. The whole thing doesn't make sense because they didn't really. The Gemara says it. The Rabbi Kiva's Gemara, the Gemara says not me. He didn't pay anything. If I stole 100 shekels from you, I have to pay you 100. But they didn't steal 100. They said they wanted blah blah blah. He didn't. He the 100 shekel in his pocket of the accused. They didn't even pay it, and yet he only gained. He's getting extra 100 shekels from those people who wanted to frame him. That's so simple. Says Rabbi Kiva, it's a knas. Trek the Gemara. Let's continue now. It's late. We only have 2 minutes left, and now let's continue. Trek the Gemara. The Rabbanon, according to Rabbanon, who argue on Rabbi Meir, the Rabbanon. Hi, loy tane berachot shoker, my dal shibei. The question is, according to Rabbanon, what did they learn from the words loy tane berachot shoker? Quite a strange question, l'choira. The Pashup Pshat seems to be, as far as I understood, according to Rabbanon, loy tane doesn't really grant you any punishment. Normally, we say when you have a loy taseh, there's a punishment as a result. Here he's saying no. Loy tane, there is no malchus. What is there? Let's say the two people said, he's chayv 200 shekels. What do they get? They pay the 200 shekels, not because of loitane. They get the 200 shekels because of the system lokashel zomam. But loitane is left up in the air. And we said loitane, we assume supposed to carry some punishment. What did they do with loitane? And it says the Gemara in the Chinami. Very good. It's only coming to warn Edim Zomimim. It's a good shidduch. The warning of Edim Zomimim, don't lie. What happened if you did lie? Then you don't get malchus, but rather you get punishment kashal zomam. That's horror. No, there's no asro. No. Chas v'sholem. Of course there's a zora in the Torah. Every lav is a zora. Most of them, except for Motzi Zera and Meir and Geshikse. But most lavim have a zora, of course. The Torah is mazir. Asro doesn't exist. Asro. So basically, the Edim Zomimim Hasro. No, excuse me, I'm confused. The Azhara, the warning of the Torah is Lo Tane, don't lie in Beis Din. And if I did, then in case you're Zomim, you get what? You get Kasher Zomam. And they work together. I, Rabbi Meir, Azhor ledim zomimin minole. Now, according to Rabbi Meir, where does he know the Azhora? Because according to Rabbi Meir, the loisane is really telling me that they get the Malchus. But how do you know Azhora for Kashel Zoma? Meaning, let me explain. According to Rabbi Meir, there are two layers all the time. According to Chachamim, actually came out even nicer. According to Rabbi Meir, there's just one line. Imagine yourself different strata. There's one strata according to Chachamim. The warning for Edim Zamimim. Lo tane, lo tane. Ah, you did? Continues the same line. You did? Oh, yo, naughty boys. Then what do you get? Kasha Zomam. But according to Rabbi Meir, there are two levels. There are two parallel layers. Why? They get Malchus because of what? Loitane. And they also get to pay 200 shekels or 200 million for Kasher Zamam. Where do you know the warning of Kasher Zamam? The warning of Loitane was expressed, came to fruition, was actualized by hitting them 39, Lotane. So how do you know that where's the Azhara, where's the warning of Kasher Zamam? Yeah, it's two punishments. Each punishment has to have a separate Azhara, a separate warning from the Torah. It says by Edim Zoimimim that those who witness the event will hear and listen and will not lo yosifu oid. If you happen to see Edim Zomimim chapping Malchus or having to pay $200 million, you get warned. I was planning to be in Eid Zomim tomorrow. I'll think again. Lo yosifu is a lav. The Torah is warning everybody there, don't add, don't yosifu, don't continue that bad way. So that's a lav. Rabbanon, what will Rabbanon do with that? It's redundant. We know the warning of Edim Zomimim from where? From Loitane, from the Ten Commandments. What do you do with the pasuk Lo Yosifu Oid? It's not warning. It's not. There are four types of people that deserve achrozo, an announcement, publication. Basically, we publicize the fact that they're warned. One of them are Edim Zomimim. Everyone says so and so was killed in Bezim because of so and so. Edim Zomimim, and also Zoken Mamre. Zoken Mamre and Ben Sover Umoire, and the fourth one I forgot. Sorry, yeah, but only four specific cases. You make a big deal, big news item out of it. Nothing to do with the warning. Yishmu. Make sure everybody knows about the event. Rabbi Meir. What will Rabbi Meir do with that? How do you know that you have to be machmiz? He already used the pasuk to tell me warning. Don't lie in Beis Din. So how does he know that you have to announce? Mi yishmu nafka. Yeah, lo yosifu is the warning, don't do it. And the announcement from Ishmu Viro. Everyone should see and everyone should hear. Mazel Tov, we got to the Mishnah. Baruch Hashem, thank you to everyone on Torah Anytime. Thank you to everybody on YouTube that watches us. And thank you for all your beautiful participation. May we meet tomorrow, Meretz Hashem, same time, same place, 9:30. Tuesday, there is Shiur, Meretz Hashem. Then I'm going to Gibraltar. Maybe I'll give a little video about that too. Atzlocha uvrocha to everybody here, and have a safe trip tomorrow. Thank you. Atzlocha to all.
Who's going tomorrow?
With parents.
Okay.